Hey everyone, I'm back again, and today I have a message for you which has been inspired by a number of different amazing human beings that I've been communicating with, particularly over the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to deliver this particular message to you guys. I'm kind of thinking it might turn a little bit into a bit of a rant, but if it does, it was necessary because so many of us are, really not realizing the level of influence we have on the people around us in terms of how they're treating us. And so I want to just take a step back and say that today's message, what it's all about, let me just be 1 second for you guys, but really what it's all about today is the way other people treat you is a direct reflection on how you treat yourself. And today's message is being delivered to you guys in the hope that it allows you or influences you to raise your own standard, because too many people are feeling like we're complaining about how others are treating us, and all we want is harmony, and we want to treat each other well, and we're like running around in circles, and we're trying to make other people okay. We're trying to, they treat us poorly. We're trying to justify that. We're trying to prove ourselves to them. We're running the same old patterns of behavior, and we're wondering why we're not getting a different result. And I spoke to a beautiful, beautiful human being this morning who has been experiencing the challenge that they've had in their relationship for like 10 years. Right? 10 years. And a couple of years ago, this person actually stood up and said, you know what? This kind of behavior and this kind of treatment is just not good enough. And I have to step forward. This person has children, they have a family, they're a beautiful human being who's always trying to maintain harmony in their connections. But they got to a point where they realized this person's behavior and treatment was really going to jeopardize their entire future, and particularly not provide a good role model for their children. And when this person was able to do that and actually step into a place of strength and say, you know what? No, I will not accept this treatment for myself, for my children, for you to be behaving this way. I'm not going to accept that. When they did that, they actually inspired the other person to go and get the help and the support that they actually needed, which led to them creating an amazing connection. Their level of connection improved dramatically based on one of the people in the relationship saying, you know what? No, I will not accept this kind of treatment and behavior. You're better than this. We're better than this. Let's make a change here. And by doing so, by stepping into their strength, they actually made an impactful difference, and that other person stepped up their game and they were able to create a much better dynamic. Fast forward a couple of years, this same person is finding themselves in the same old situation that they once were, and feeling, really, really impacted by that, almost reverting to a childlike version of themselves. And, the work that I do is to help people see a different perspective, and not just about what other people are doing wrong, but actually owning the pattern that they're co-creating and how that is triggering something within themselves that they've not yet healed. So what I discussed with this amazing human being this morning was ultimately that I helped them to see that it was not okay, the treatment and the behavior going on in that dynamic, firstly. And then secondly, I was able to help them see, how does this sort of pattern, how are they co-creating this? How are they treating themselves in such a way that is training the other person to treat them that way as well? And they're accepting that right? Their standard of treatment is at this level, and the other person they're gonna fit in at that level, right? We're not gonna treat other people in a way that they don't allow us to. It's just not gonna work, right? So we have to take responsibility for how others are treating us and realize we're allowing that, particularly if it's something that is going on and on over the years. And we also need to see, why does that level of treatment, why is that acceptable to us? And what I was able to help this human being, this amazing person, see was that ultimately they have had experiences throughout their childhood where there was abuse present. Right? And so their standard of what their expectation in relationship was, on a subconscious level, relationships equal some level of abuse, right? That's acceptable behavior because that's what I grew up with. And that is why this person would revert into their childlike self when their partner was treating them in an abusive way. And so when you're able to see that and actually take ownership over, oh, like this is my pattern too. It's not just them treating me poorly. It's actually, here's what happens to me based on my experiences and my unhealed wounds. And what I end up doing is accepting that level of treatment. And then what I do is I revert into that little child who was just trying to prove that it was a good person. I was just trying to justify. I was just trying to maintain the harmony. I was just trying to, give to that person what I thought they might need in order to, decrease the level of anger or aggression that they were sharing with me. And, that's such a childlike way of, trying to make things better. It comes from a great pure intention. But if it's not working, it's not working, right? And so at this point, when we're aware of our co-creative tendencies in those dynamics that keep repeating, we put ourselves into the position of power. We take ourselves out of disempowerment, we put ourselves into the position of power, and that position of power is to take ownership of our patterns and to choose another direction. And in this particular case, and it's usually the point in all of these cases, majority, I would say, is it's about stepping out of the childlike role and into the adult role, okay? And to realize that you have to take responsibility for your future. The poor treatment that you accept is a reminder of how you're treating yourself. Because when you raise the bar on how you envision yourself, in how you treat yourself, in how you value yourself, you will never accept anybody's less than that standard, treatment less than that standard. And if you are accepting poor treatment, it's about you taking the responsibility on how you're treating yourself and whatever you need to do to up-level that treatment, and also being an adult who communicates directly and openly about the direction that you want the relationship to head in. And if you love and care about another person enough, you're not going to allow them to treat you in a poor way. You're not going to allow them to engage in poor behavior because it's less than what they are capable of as well. And at the end of the day, most of us are terrified of losing what we think we have, right? We'd rather stay comfortable, in that certainty, which is very uncomfortable actually, and very, very draining, but we'd rather stay certain with what we know rather than venture into a new realm that has the possibility of, creating the fulfillment and the connection and all the great stuff that we actually want. But it's unknown, right? We're too terrified of the uncertainty that we'd rather stay stuck with what we're certain of, no matter how painful it is. And that's the problem, and what we need to do is start with our relationship with ourselves. If we're accepting poor treatment, then we need to look at how we're treating ourselves, and we need to go about up-leveling that. And it's the longer you go on in a dynamic that is treating you poorly, the more diminished, your value of yourself becomes. So the harder it is to actually take ownership for your relationship with yourself and start giving to yourself and meeting your own needs. So It's a tricky situation to get yourself caught up in, but at the end of the day, it is the most empowering way to look at these dynamics by taking responsibility for how you're treating yourself, which is being reflected to you and mirrored to you in how other people are treating you externally. And if you've got to go into conflict in order to change something, but I'd rather be in conflict for a better result in the future than to be in this defeating, self-esteem diminishing conflict at the hands of somebody else who's bringing you backwards rather than stepping you forwards, right? So that's the kind of mentality that we need to have. And, it's not about blaming others and playing the victim when other people treat us badly. It's about owning it, stepping into a new level of treating ourselves, raising the standard and not accepting anything less than that standard. Communicating that new standard, allowing people the opportunity to come with you on that journey. And if they can't come with you on that journey, value yourself enough to get out of environments that are diminishing your self-esteem and take on the responsibility of, whatever it takes to create the kind of relationship with yourself and the level of value within yourself that you'd rather be alone, than be treated poorly. Okay. And by doing so, just like this same beautiful client of mine who, in the past has had this experience, but they actually stepped up and they've made a tremendous impact on their relationship dynamic over the past couple of years. But it's reverted back right now because they took their foot off the gas, got comfortable, and so did that other person. And because of the fears, the uncertainties, the insecurities going around the world right now, you're going to have to realize that those past fears and insecurities and challenges that we've experienced, and maybe you thought you were over, maybe that next level is coming, right? Because that's what happens to us. We revert to our fears and insecurities when the world around us is showing us that that's what everybody's doing, right? And there's so much uncertainty. So just remember that now is a time where a lot of those fears and insecurities are probably going to resurface, but it's an opportunity for you to deal with it in a whole new different way. You can either revert back to your old ways, or you can choose to step up to the plate, step up to the challenge, and create a new vision about what kind of relationships you want to be experiencing, the type of person you want to be, and make sure that you first of all, step into that standard for yourself and then communicate that with others. And if they do not come with you on that journey and step up to that new standard, they're not the kind of people that you need to surround yourself with. So value yourself enough to step into your potential despite what you fear you may lose. Because it's when you step forward with courage, despite your fears of loss, that you stand to gain everything and more that you've in your heart of hearts you deserve and you want in order to create a life of true fulfillment. Okay, so it sounds paradoxical, but it's absolutely true. So remember that the moment you step forward with courage is the moment all your fears and insecurities that stopped you from taking that first step, you're actually a person now that can handle that and is no longer afraid of that, and you end up standing to gain so much more than you would have hoped for by doing so in the beginning. All right, so that's my bit of a rant for you guys today. I just want us all to realize that you do not allow people to treat you poorly. And if they are treating you poorly, what does that say about how you're treating yourself? Because you wouldn't accept poor treatment. You'd have a higher standard if that's the relationship you had with yourself. So if you are surrounded with those people treating you poorly, the onus is on you to look at how you're treating yourself and go about the journey of up-leveling that standard. And a really great little simple task that I set for my beautiful client today, among a few others, the number one that I thought I'd share with you guys today is, if you're not feeling like you've got a high level of self-esteem, right? If you're allowing other people to treat you poorly, that does speak volumes to how you're treating yourself and the value that you have on yourself. And a really great little strategy to help you to get support from other people in a really empowering way, which isn't just criticizing somebody and playing the victim and, getting the poor you kind of scheme going, which a lot of us do. And I get that, but it's not helpful, right? It's not healthy. Instead of that, how about the conversation you have with the people that you're close to, your friends, your family? How about instead of talking about the bad treatment that you're receiving, how about you take that upon yourself to up-level your relationship with yourself and ask those people that you trust, what are 3 great things that you see within me? Okay, and keep a track of that, right? This has so much power, because when we're in a one-on-one relationship dynamic, it's very easy to get caught up in the he said, she said, is it me, is it them, like that confusion, like that's hard to take a meta perspective on the situation. So you oftentimes start believing the criticisms and the judgments that they're shooting at you out of fear and self-protection. And so one of the greatest strategies to be beyond that and see another person's fears for what they are rather than take it personally is to allow the people around you who really know you, your friends and your family and people close to you, to give you some feedback about what great things they see within you. It'll really do you wonders so that you're not taking their fears personally, and you can ultimately get to a place where you can see their fearful projections. You no longer believe them. You value yourself enough to up-level the standard of treatment, and you communicate about that from a place of courage with no fear of loss, and focus on everything that you stand to gain. All right. That's enough of a rant from me. I definitely want to check in with you guys and see who's been able to join me. Hope this message has been of value to you, and it has inspired you to do something about the treatment that you may be feeling in your life. And if you know somebody in your life who does, you see them getting treated poorly by anyone in their life, and you can see that, their self-esteem is a bit diminished, please do share this kind of message with them. I hope that it serves them and allows them to see things from a different perspective and a new light, and actually helps them to up-level their connections in their life and be a leader of the kind of dynamics that they wish to create. So let me check in. I've got Judy and Madeline and Farine and Claire's here as well, and Samuel. I used to see myself as an empath and everyone else as a narcissist. However, my failure was my view of myself and my life. Oh my gosh. Samuel, you are an absolute superstar. You've just articulated the number one reason why I don't like using those terms of being empathic or being a narcissist. Not that they can't be useful, absolutely, but so many of us get so caught in the victim realm of being an empath, and we make everybody else, the narcissist, that we don't get empowered to create our life. We stay in the victim mode. So I am super proud of you for being able to own that within yourself and empower yourself. You just put yourself at choice point and becoming a real role model for so many people out there, where you decided, you know what, I see these patterns of behavior, because that's all they are, these labels, right? And I see that I can discount and be too accommodating for other people's emotional experiences at the expense of my own. I can see that's a pattern for me. I can see that that's the quality of person I'm attracting based on my own patterns of treating myself. And so what I'm choosing to do right now is I am choosing to become the creator of my life rather than the victim. And I'm going to take ownership of that, and I'm going to make some shifts and changes so that the external world can follow suit in a healthy way. So hats off to you, Samuel. That is absolutely awesome. And I love that you shared that with us all today. So thanks for showing up. And Stuart's here as well. And Samuel, my failure, my learning curve. Boom, drop the mic. I'm loving having you on here today, Samuel. Thank you so much for sharing being a role model of empowerment. So really appreciate that. And Nadoon's here, and Daryl and Marcine, hello to you. And Vince and Alan, and thank you for your kind words there, Alan. And Matt's in the house. Hey V, glad to catch you live. Love that you're catching me live. Hope you jump back to the beginning and get some more value from today's message. Always great to see you, my friend. And William from Cyprus in Texas, awesome. And Tadashi and John and Pankaj, great to see you. And Lombardo, thank you for sharing, Vanessa. Raise your standards. That's so important. And Tony Robbins says the same thing. Absolutely. And you know what? Tony Robbins is ultimately the instigator for all the work that I do in this world. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably be a very unfulfilled lawyer right now, still scrambling to meet the expectations of the external world rather than tap into what I'm inspired by. So absolutely. And I love that, Lombardo. Thanks for showing up as well. So guys, I hope today's message has served you and just it reminds you that the way others treat you is a direct reflection of how you're treating yourself. So if other people are treating you poorly, it's not on them, it's actually on you to raise your standard. Set a new standard of the dynamic of the treatment, and you do so by working on fulfilling yourself. All right, if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you accept everything the world gives you, throws at you. So you've got to raise that standard by up-leveling the value that you hold for yourself and not settling for anything less. And one key point for me, and you might resonate with this, is I had a wake-up call not that long ago, which from a coach of mine who reminded me that I was actually settling for harmony rather than getting my needs met. And that's not good enough, right? So, make sure that even if you're not having constant conflict, notice, are you just settling for harmony, right? Like this thing that's okay, and like at least we're not being mean to each other. And it's at the expense of actually the depth of connection and the needs that you have to be supported on an emotional, physical, mental, spiritual level. Don't settle in this life. The moment you up level the standard of what you need, and you step into that and you give to yourself and you don't accept anything less from the world around you, is the moment that you can leave behind connections that are very unhealthy and not serving you, and open up the pathway for really, truly meaningful, deep, healthy connections that are not here to diminish your self-esteem. They're actually here to help you reach a new level of your potential. Okay, and that's the kind of standard that we should be setting in our relationships, first with ourselves and then secondly with those around us. Okay, so hope that served. And just last little comments here. Colin, hello to you. And George has joined as well. That was a mouthful. And Matt, we'll be sending you a DM. Would love to touch base regarding the Academy on Sunday. Take care, stay safe. Thank you so much. #respect. I love that. Yes, so Matt, you are in the Limitless Potential Academy, so I'm super excited to be catching up with all of you guys on Sunday and Saturday for you guys in the States, but for us Aussies, it'll be Sunday morning early. So any of you guys who want to be part of an amazing community with Matt and myself and a whole bunch of amazing individuals from across the globe, then I invite you to come and join us on that journey. You would want to join us in the Limitless Potential Academy monthly masterclasses and our inner circle, and you can reach out to me to find out the details for that. And yes, and Matt, be selfish, put yourself as number one. Other outside situation events in life will take care of themselves. Love it, and this is a big key part, particularly for all of those people out there who, like Samuel mentioned, consider themselves empathic. What that really means is you tend to, look after other people more so than you're looking after yourself. And you tend to prove that you're a worthy of value person by meeting other people's needs, but it's sacrificing yourself. So a lot of people in that regard end up using that word, like Matt's saying, selfish, right? And labeling themselves as selfish. So they don't want to be selfish, they want to be selfless. But there's a balancing ground there where you're not sacrificing yourself for others. You're putting yourself first, like the oxygen mask, as we've heard on the plane. You can't help others unless you're filling your tank up. And, I was speaking to this client this morning and I was saying to them, your tank is empty right now. Right? They're not going to be able to fulfill your tank. They're empty too. You've been in conflict. the point is, you have to be the one to fulfill your own fuel tank, right? You need to do whatever you need to do to meet your own needs right now. Drop the expectations of somebody else meeting your needs, because, you know, until you're the person who's able to meet your own needs, you'll be always needing somebody else to fulfill for you what they're struggling to fulfill for themselves. And so you have to build that muscle and that level of value of yourself to own your needs, value your needs, meet your needs for yourself, so that you can go into a relationship not needing anything, which reverts you to childlike behavior, and instead be able to, you know, overflow into one another's lives and enhance each other's experience of life. So I love those messages that you guys are sharing and appreciate that, Matt. And as always, guys, I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I really do hope that it's beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary, that you're doing something super empowering, and today's message has definitely served you. So go out there, take responsibility for how people are treating you, look at how you're treating yourself, and go on the journey, the most empowering journey you can possibly go on, which is up-leveling your value within yourself and meeting your own needs and taking responsibility for your future direction and not letting anybody else's fears or insecurities diminish where you're going in your life, okay? Nobody else is responsible for your future more than you are, okay? So really look at that, and definitely come and join us in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle and the Academy if you want to be surrounded by amazing like minds who are reaching for a new level of their potential. So much love for each and every one of you guys who could join me live. So I've got so much love in me. So join me live today. So much love and appreciation for each and every one of you guys, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.